is wanted. Very quickly, I was just sent Jonathan Givony's story about RJ's decision here. He points out he is the first American to willingly forego college to play international basketball. The other names you may have heard of all did so over questions about their academic or amateurism status. How good is he, you're asking? He is projected right now to be the number 6 pick in next year's NBA draft. So we're talking about a kid who's that good. Jalen, your first thought, I know you spent a bunch of time with his family just now. What is your takeaway?
First off, he's a very mature young man and he has an amazing infrastructure with his parents, with his agent, with his family that's going to put him in position to be successful. When you sign your letter of intent, usually your family is sending you to a collegiate campus to get that level of infrastructure, that safety, that security blanket that's going to put you in position to be the best version of yourself when you perform. His family's going overseas with him, okay? So now he can concentrate on playing basketball and being the best version of himself. I love this decision for the young man.
What about you, Jay?
Until the narrative is changed with inside collegiate sports that paying athletes makes them cheats or makes them crooks, you're going to have more of this. You're going to have guys like Brandon Jennings, or the fact that he decided to do it on his own, RJ Hampton. You can get paid. You can train like a professional. And this brings up other subjects too, Greeny, because I've heard different college athletes say this. Well, I wanted my major to be this, but considering my workload, I had to change my major. So you tell me what we're prioritizing when we talk about kid going to school for education. You're going there to play your sport. Now RJ Hampton can focus on his sport 24 hours a day and can be trained like a pro.
One thing we didn't get to in our conversation with him, but I'm just noticing he told Jonathan Givony, is that one factor in his decision was looking at how some of the international players come to the NBA and appear more ready for pro basketball. He used Luka Doncic as the example, who is probably going to be the rookie of the year this year, and he came in as a pro. He knew what it was like to be a professional athlete, and that was an advantage. Dominique, I wanted you in this conversation just because I'm curious to hear your perspective on this, a young man making a decision like he just did.
I think that it creates optionality, which also creates leverage for these other players. And we all talk about how the NCAA is flawed. You can't change a flawed system without leverage and power. And a player like this, a pioneer like this, is going to open the door for other players to threaten this, which then creates the leverage and the power for future players in basketball and outside to create the leverage to make a more fair system. So I'm really proud of him and I appreciate him. I'm going to thank him later.
Let me start with you. You were a super highly recruited kid in high school, and this wasn't a conversation anyone was having then. But do you think this would have been an option for you and your life and all of that if this had been around when you were?
Not at all, for the two reasons I said that it works for him. Number one, he's way more mature than I ever was. Number two, he had the infrastructure that I didn't have. My mother was working at Chrysler when I was in high school. She couldn't stop her job to go overseas with me. Okay, so he has an infrastructure with his family that's going to also lend to him be successful off the floor.
Would this have been an option for you?
It may have. I mean, I think now that we talk about this more, it's different. But
if you were 18 years old right now?
Right now?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, I would. If I could bring my family, yes, I would.
As a Terp, I would have liked you to take that option. That's a pain.
I'm sorry, Greeny, but my name, likeness, and image is not enough.
Yeah.
It's not enough.
I do think that he could potentially, the argument is that this is good for them in the NCAA, but also it could be good for players. They can be full-time. There's no restriction on how much practice they can do and how much better they can get in that process. There are restrictions when you're playing college basketball.
And I got to address the elephant in the room. As a founder of a charter high school, of course, I encourage young people to go graduate from college. But the reality of it is, usually athletes that end up entering the draft early don't go back and graduate from college. So basically, he's just eliminating the backpack phase and going right into playing the sport.
And what do you go to college for? To get a really good job. Let's be honest about that. Mm-hmm. High-paying job.
And also, many people in the United States, and this is weird, don't work in the profession that their major is in.
There you go.
How about that?
So again, that is our story here this morning. RJ Hampton announcing live on our show, a kid who is projected to be the 6th pick in next year's NBA draft, that he is not going to any of these colleges that recruited him, and Duke and Kentucky and Kansas.
5th recruit in high school,
and the biggest
6th
of
in the
them
draft.
Is going to Australia to play professional basketball. It could be the beginning of a new era in sports as we know them. All right, we're 100 days from the football season. Laura, pick it up there.
Yeah, let's start the countdown. 100 days of the 2019 NFL season begins, and it starts with Chicago as the Bears will host the Packers on Thursday, September 5th. The number 100 also significant as the NFL will be celebrating its 100th season. So that means Dan Orlovsky and Dominique are ready. They are They have so many things on their minds. It was actually hard to just get us down to like one or two, but we're going to start with you, Neek. The biggest thing on your mind as we are 100 days away from the NFL season beginning.
There's a lot of things on my mind, but I know we talked about earlier the Colts. I'm concerned, or not concerned, I'm interested in finding out if they're going to make that next big leap after having 2 all-NFL players in the draft last year and the resurgence of Andrew Luck.
What about their team don't you like right now? Like, what's the question mark for you that makes them a non-super? Because this is an offense that, and I mentioned this with Andrew Luck and MVP, like they added Devin Funchess, they got Paris Campbell in the draft, the offensive line is still there. But then this is a defense that was top 10 in the NFL last year. And then they added Justin Houston in free agency. They added Bobby Okereke in the draft. They added Rock Ya-Sin out of Temple, who's a really good cover corner in both man and zone. So what about the team don't you like? Because these additions.
I love this team. I like this team. But there are other teams that I also love and like in the AFC. And I think that this team didn't seem, and you mentioned some of their additions, but they didn't make a push in free agency, a kind of win-now push. They're built for the long haul. They're going to be competitors for a long time to come. I'm not sure that they're ready to jump over the Patriots and the Chiefs coming up this season. We saw what happened against the Chiefs in the playoffs last year. And I'm not sure the additions that they made are going to make them jump the Chiefs automatically. And again, you got the Patriots, and then the Browns have made those type of changes in the offseason that suggest they're all in today, which I'm not sure the Colts have done.
Indy, with some of the subtractions in Kansas City, that's a meaningful difference between those 2 off seasons.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying that they can't make it. I'm saying that you're jumping the gun by saying that they're Super Bowl contenders already. That's aggressive.
Well, that's the headline. Dan thinks they're Super Bowl contenders. Let's talk about some quarterbacks, because we can't get through this without doing that, mainly for you, Neek, just to frustrate you. But when we think about older quarterbacks, and I hate to call these guys old, but what they kind of are in football. Other than Tom Brady, which older quarterback has a resurgence, makes one big last push this season?
Drew Brees. I love the fact that we have to say, like, other than Tom Brady. First of all, but Drew Brees, I mean, MVP caliber season last year, and you're looking at a team that still has Michael Thomas, who's one of the great weapons, still has Alvin Kamara, who's one of the great dual threats in all of football. And this is a team that has back-to-back gone through the miracle. Like, can they avoid the miracle? 2 years ago against Minnesota, and last year, obviously, against who did they have the miracle against last year? Oh, the Rams.
That wasn't a miracle. I think the people in New Orleans would say the opposite.
That was the opposite of miracle.
But I think the Saints are built to make another final run with Drew Brees.
I'm going to go Phillip Rivers. So I like Drew Brees. I think they're going to be good down there. But I like what they're doing out in not San Diego anymore, but I like what they're doing out there. They have Derwin James. That safety is incredible. The offense, they've built around Rivers in a way that I think suggests that they know that he's aging. They're supporting him with the talent that they need to in a very, I guess, Patriots-esque way. So I think, and maybe it's just wishful thinking, because Phillip Rivers has been so close so many times, is I would hate to see him leave the league without getting at least one shot at the Super Bowl.
You want him to get that, with everything that's happened for him. But I am going to put you guys on the spot here a little bit. Of those 2 older quarterbacks that you mentioned, would you still say that they would get anything done as a final push goes ahead of Tom Brady, or is Tom Brady? Yeah.
I still say that Brady. Someone's got to go beat Brady. Someone has to actually go beat Brady to.
Nick looks like he's about to be crazy.
I mean, I don't know if I'm ready to be that crazy.
Phillip had his chance last year.
I don't know if I'm ready to be that crazy, because Tom Brady, like, he's not human. He's not. He doesn't seem to age. But I don't know. I might be ready to get that crazy later in the show.
The Patriots and Tom Brady are going to be better this year than they were last year.
That's what's really scary. Without Rob Gronkowski, but they did make some additions. N'Keal Harry, watch for him. He was a late pick in the first round. Very good, very versatile receiver.